3 songs, but that became not so easy.
No, top 5, but then
top 5.
Top 500.
So now we're just going to kind of talk about Prince, and I've got some good stories. Martha, I know you got some stories, and we're just going to talk about this guy's legacy. We did this one after Bowie had died, and
I don't think I have stories per se.
Did you get anything from Gene today?
No.
Well, let's introduce ourselves. First of all, you.
I'm Martha Southgate.
And
So. Is it bedtime? It's only 8 o'clock. Okay.
Why don't you just give your Twitter? Let's just give our Twitters this time.
That would be helpful if I used it.
Okay.
I don't use it.
Okay.
So that wouldn't really be very good for me to give. I am a co-owner of Southgate Media Group and on a ton of podcasts like Pinheads, a Pinterest podcast, and
all of
Who for
these
Who and Ever After, and all these live shows. And
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah,
that's one of your biggest.
That's one of my faves.
Chesterfield Report, right? Is that Chesterfield Report?
Chester Mill.
Chester's Mill. That show's
Report.
Over. Thank goodness.
Yes.
That was under
That
the
was
dome.
not one. It was fun to. It was
fun to finish.
Crappy show like that. That dome steamed up. I'll tell you that right now.
It was fun. For some reasons, but not.
Hold on,
show is fun.
The first year of the show was okay.
That was a blast.
Yeah.
After that,
It was fun. After that, it became fun for other reasons. But
Yeah.
not. It was hard to endure the show. To do the podcast.
Yes.
So, anyway,
I think after the lobotomy, it got better.
Yes.
And then you down on the end.
Absolutely, Chris Mao. I am co-owner of Blue Box Cafe, co-host of several shows, including This Week in Geek, Counterculture, Pop Culture Countdown, Binge-Worthy, and this one as well.
Sometimes you guest on ones too, like on 80s Reboot.
I've guested on some 80s Reboot shows, and I'm around.
Yeah,
I'm the fill-in if we need.
You're around.
Rob calls me up and says, "Hey, can you talk about this?" Sure.
And Chris, I actually just put a mic on. He's already talking about it, so kind of like us.
Yeah.
So, and I'm Rob Southgate, co-owner of Southgate Media Group with this lovely lady, and on a lot of shows. Probably too many to list right now, but I will highlight New Media Lab. If you like new media stuff and social media stuff, that show is a blast to do. And we're on Enough Said, which is the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. And hey, I want to bring up something for that. I know it doesn't pertain to this, but if you are a Marvel fan, if you're into that, follow us on Twitter. It's at Enough Said Podcast. We are doing a new thing where once a week we're going to tweet out a thing. Retweet it and follow us, and you win a chance to get a Nuff Said Universe No Prize. If you're a Marvel fan, that means something to you. We gave one out, and the person who got it was Phil. He loved it. He sent us a picture. He framed it, our No Prize, right next to his Marvel stuff on his wall. So cool.
That's good.
And I even made it so it has a coffee stain on it, which is super appropriate. So there you go. All right.
Were you channeling Squeeze at the time?
Yes. So let's talk. Let's talk about Prince.
Well, I just learned that I didn't know his actual birth name was Prince. I thought it was just Rogers Nelson, but he was born.
Oh, I didn't know his actual
Prince
birth name.
Rogers Nelson.
Wow.
Interesting.
I thought he named himself Prince, like Michael Jackson sort of thing. Like, like Michael
his
Jackson
son is named Prince, but yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
Michael
but I
Jackson
mean,
named
like
his
Michael
son.
Jackson, like King of, like kind of self-ordained.
Right, like King of Pop, King of all media,
But
that kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Getting off topic, that wasn't a bad self-ordination.
No, Prince
the King or King
Yeah.
of Pop. That's
right.
pretty close. So, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm the Duke of Podcasts.
There you go.
No, I'm
Dork?
not-
Wait, did you say dork?
I thought I said Deuce of Podcasts. I've seen reviews.
Yes.
Uh,
Deuce is probably a better descriptor than
That's what
Duke.
they called me. Wait, I got it wrong.
I spelled
But
it wrong.
he was
Deuce,
born,
Deuce,
I'm
Deuce.
just going to talk right over you.
Go ahead.
He was born June 7th, 1958, which is almost exactly 1 year before, 10 years before.
Almost exactly 10 years before
Woof,
you.
it's been a long day. Why do
Either
we do
that-
this at night? I'm
either
much
that or
better
I'm-
at 10 o'clock in the
I'm married
morning.
to a much older bag than I thought.
So, yeah, he was born June 7th, 1958 in Minneapolis. And we lived in Minneapolis for 5 years.
Yes.
And in the early, mid-90s to 2000. And
95 to 2000.
When he got a
was-
little weird. That's when
No,
he was
but you know
weirded out,
what?
wasn't he?
everywhere,
Little bit.
it was always Prince.
Yeah.
Not
Well, he was
that
the
there
biggest star from the area. I mean,
he's just such a
He's a force.
a part of that
Oh, sure.
world.
I mean, like First Avenue is the big music venue there. We saw a number of shows there. Oh, that's Patrick's.
we saw Patrick at
Well,
First
yeah, our friend
Avenue.
Patrick. We saw him at First Avenue. This is his record company that started Going South. No, actually, it was Dark One Records.
Going South was
Going South
the
was
song,
his-
album.
Yeah. But First Ave is a legendary music venue. Sugar played there a lot.
Everybody.
Husker Du used to play there. But Prince, if you watch Purple Rain, the big concert is in First Ave.
Mhm.
Well, isn't
So, I mean,
all
this
his
guy-
performances in First
Yeah.
Ave?
Well,
When they do the
Well, he also had Paisley Park.
when he did the when we're talking Purple
Yes,
Rain, when
that
they
was all in
performed,
First
that's all
Ave.
at
That's First
Ave.
Ave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was omnipresent in Minneapolis. I mean, like there was Paisley Park. There was
Which was
always
in Chanhassen.
like purple stuff everywhere. Like,
But it wasn't
but
even
it wasn't
that.
marketing.
It wasn't
but I mean, it
even
wasn't
that.
marketing. It was
He just was
No,
His
it was
presence
it
was
was
there.
just that everybody we met knew him.
yeah. Everyone had a story about him. Or,
Everybody had met, like, oh, he comes in to my coffee shop. At night we close and he comes in. Oh, we do this. The theaters.
yeah.
Everybody you knew had some type of
Now
contact.
I will tell you that Chris is right. When we were there, that was when he got a little weird.
Yes.
And we knew somebody who was friends with his drummer. I don't want to name names of the time and all
Right.
that, but he was friends with the drummer at around this time. And he told some weird stories about being at Paisley Park to record and Prince showing up. And when he showed up, they were like, go in this room and wait for him to pass. If he sees you, he doesn't like white people to be here. Things like that, which you heard some of that stuff. That
Right.
was when he was so angry at his record label.
Sure.
And he was feeling that it was racist. So he was reacting that way. I don't think he was that way all the time. I think that was just what was going on because he was so mad. That's when he changed his name to a
symbol.
symbol. He put slave on his face to show Warner Brothers, I get that, man. I get his weirdness might have been, we might have seen it as weird, but it might have been him as an artist reacting. Like,
But
how do
we-
you react, but with art?
We
And that's
also,
it.
though, never heard anyone say that he was mean.
No, we never heard
rude.
anything negative
Like,
about him. Other
He
than
was
that,
unbelievable. Like,
that kind of a
everybody
thing.
was like, he was
Sure.
the nicest guy. And
and amazing,
yeah,
just like an
Like-
amazing presence.
Well-
and he was so diminutive.
Mhm.
But they said as soon as he entered a room he just seemed huge. Like,
Well, I'm
he
sure
just
Chris.
was larger than
I'm sure
life.
Chris
his
is really
personality
tiny.
was like that. Yeah, on the inside. Mentally, I
You're
am.
smaller on the inside.
I am smaller on the inside.
You're the
Well,
anti-TARDIS.
I would think of anybody of that talent and magnitude of the star he was
Mhm.
at some point, regardless of what contract or deal he had with whatever record label, or even if you're an actor, at some point you would feel that you would outgrow that, and that, not to say that you're worth more, but I don't think they could ever treat you fairly enough
Right.
to make it for you, unless they would just give you carte blanche, and they don't do that because Warner Brothers spent a lot of money on lots of acts, and they hit with him.
Mhm.
Right.
And I hate to be like that. I mean, when you talk to
Well-
the business aspect of it, you get to that.
The record business is notorious for really sticking it to performers.
Well, sure.
The way it works, what a lot of people don't understand. So like when Prince first hits and he gets a big contract with Warner Brothers, they give him $5 million, right? They don't give him $5 million. They give him
He has
$5
to
million
pay that
that he
back.
has to pay back
Yeah.
Right.
in X amount of time. And he has to have X amount of hits during that time or he's over permanently.
Mhm.
This is where he was having a problem saying, wait, I own these songs. I'm doing all this stuff. That's why he set up Paisley Park and had his own recording studio. The smartest thing you can do is we knew somebody who got a big record deal, took all the money and bought a recording studio. And then when other acts came in, what they paid to use that studio paid back the record company for him.
Right.
So he didn't have to take
Smartest
it out
thing
of
he
his
could do.
earnings. Yeah.
Sure.
Produced his album in-house cheaply, even though they wanted him to do it this other way. He's like, no, I'm going to do it this way. Prince did the same kind of thing. He set up, Skywalker Ranch, basically,
Sure.
just like George Lucas
Mhm.
said, I'm going to do this outside of the system, even though the system is what made it happen. But the system really stuck this guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
But the way he got back was after Purple Rain and after these huge, huge mega hits, he had a contract still. When he got mad at him, that's when he put out the album Love Sexy. You remember that album?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That album was filled with all his throwaways, from what I understand. Where he said, okay, I've got a contract. I've got to put this out. Here, I'll give you these songs. There were songs he didn't care about. Here, just a piece of garbage. Take it. Of course, it was great because Prince is
Right.
super talented.
Yeah.
But he didn't put out new stuff really in that way from that
He
point
didn't
on.
give him anything he cared about.
Right.
that
And
He would
from what
want
I
to use
understand,
later.
what did we hear today? 2,000 hours of music?
Wow.
It's still
It's still in his
unrecorded.
vault.
It's
still
recorded,
unreleased.
Yeah.
but unreleased. Yeah.
It's complete. That's all original songs, music, all that stuff
Uh, he-
that he did not, or maybe it might be 2,000 songs, not 2,000 hours.
2,000 songs.
But
I
2,000
think.
songs is still
Yeah.
a lot of songs. And it reminds me of Miles Davis because he did the same thing. He got so mad at the record company, he said at some point, I'm not going to write anymore. I'm not going to give you anything new.
Mhm.
So he put out albums and it was all him doing covers. It was him doing other stuff. You weren't hearing where Miles Davis was really
Exactly.
musically.
Where did he end
Just like
up?
with Prince.
Yeah. Well, Prince wrote his first song when he was 7 years old. I thought that was kind of a fun little thing. And then his debut album was in 1978 when he was 20. And then in 1979, then the year later, his album Prince went platinum. So
And Prince was the one that had Little Red Corvette
Yeah.
in
Yes.
1999
Yeah.
and all that. Or yeah,
Yeah.
and then he was
you
couple
can retire
hits.
off of those two.
right. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004. In his career, he won 7 Grammys, Golden Globe, and he won in 1985. He won an Academy Award for Purple Rain, and for Best Music
Ever in a
/
movie?
original song score.
Right.
Best music ever in a movie. So
Exactly. So I mean, what a
Now,
decorated.
They were showing that at the theater today because of his death. I would really like to go see it in the theater because that's another one, even though it's like this concert film in
Sure.
some ways. That I remember seeing it one time in the theater, and it was nothing like watching it on TV.
Mhm.
It was like, I see why this movie is so popular.
well, it touches you on a lot of different ways. It's a pretty good movie. It's big and beautiful and all that stuff. But the music, especially
The music is
for being our
fantastic.
age, I mean, that was
Oh.
prime for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 18
Right
when
on,
that
man.
came out. That was right in my wheelhouse. I
Absolutely.
remember I was a freshman in college. That's all that anybody played.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's not true because they played Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And they played some REM, but they were
R.E.M.
just starting
and all
out.
those,
and-
yeah,
but I mean, REM was just starting to get popular in colleges, and it was Prince. Every single girl
But- and you know
had
what's-
Purple Rain.
You know what's funny when you say that? So for us, we were high school in the 80s, and it was college age. Like we both listened to REM some in high school. Like that was kind of where we were going. I listened to Husker Du
Right.
and that,
Yeah.
Talking Heads as we were dating, and
Like
we didn't go for that like hairband stuff and all that. What's interesting is Prince was kind of a constant. He kind of crossed over,
sure.
and not just because of Purple Rain. Even though Purple Rain is so amazing, it's like even if you weren't into Prince, you had 5 or 6 Prince albums because
Well, sure.
how do you not? Like they're like astounding albums.
Well, but even if you weren't into the album and the total musicality of it, every album he had like 1 or 2 great songs that
Right.
were huge.
and not just great, but like really great songs.
Right. I mean, they were all like,
And
I hate to say iconic, but they are iconic.
Yeah.
They
Totally.
are. Well, even like Kiss. I remember when Kiss came out,
Mhm.
and it had that great video, but people were kind of like, "Oh, Prince, like this isn't that great."
Oh, no, it's
Kiss is an amazing song, and then
Sure.
it was covered by Tom Jones.
right.
It's like you see that it's like it transcends.
Mhm.
What was the one? Is that on Graffiti Bridge? Remember Graffiti Bridge?
Yeah.
It had Round and Round on it with that kid that he used as a mentor. See, this is something else about Prince. I view Prince kind of like when we did our show about David Bowie.
Mhm.
Prince kind of touches that same thing in me as an artist and as a business person in creativity.
Right.
Where one of the things that I view, Martha and I share this, is we always think about the other person and bringing more up. When we, as business people, we've always said we want the people below us to exceed us. If I'm your manager, I want one day for you to be my boss because I've done such a good job helping you.
Right.
And Prince did the same thing. Think of how many bands and how many artists.
Oh, sure.
The Time, which is a great band, he wrote those hits for them.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the movie, they were his rival, but really they loved Prince.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, they did.
He knew how to, he's like, I need a good opening act. I'm going to write an entire opening act for myself.
But think about all of the, Sheena Easton. Vanity, that whole
Vanity 6, that was huge.
It's
not my kind of music, but it was huge.
Sheila E. I mean, that whole story, Kathleen was telling me about how they did an interview with her that they were deeply in love when they were together.
Sure.
And they didn't get married for business reasons and things like that. And that's like one of her greatest regrets is how, I mean, obviously influential he was to her life, but how that was just, it was so good, it was bad and dangerous. And they might not have ever been to where they were if they had been together.
Whatever happened to that Tevin Campbell? Remember, he was the one that did Round and Round for Prince. And that was a great song too.
Well, and he
had a great voice and everything. And I thought he was going to
music.
be Prince's like protege, and then I don't know if anything ever happened with that guy.
Well, what?
Yeah, Wendy and Lisa, they wrote Purple Rain. No, did they write Purple Rain or When Doves Cry? The Wendy and Lisa wrote one of those. That he
I'm
did,
still on Graffiti Bridge,
and it was even though
you're
it's like
around,
people go, oh well, they wrote it. He didn't. Yeah,
no, they co-wrote.
He mentored that thing.
Well, they co-wrote it with them, but
Okay, but Graffiti Bridge, you were saying.
I loved Graffiti Bridge.
All right, so that was a soundtrack, right, to the movie.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a soundtrack album to the film Graffiti Bridge. Okay,
I didn't even know there was a film.
It was released on August 20th of 1990 by Paisley Park Records and Warner Brothers Records. Okay, so nearly every song on the record was written by Prince. Okay, despite the handful of artists performing, including Tevin Campbell, Mavis Staples, and The Time.
Wow.
So he wrote.
Listen to that though. Mavis Staples and The Time. I mean, right there, that's an album I'm buying.
Oh
the album produced the hit singles "Thieves in the Temple" and "New Power Generation."
Yeah,
so I
Thieves
think
in the Temple
Generation was a good song.
Thieves in the Temple is really good.
That's
too.
a good song too.
So I don't think you're talking about the same album for the song that you were talking about.
No, Round and Round is in there.
Round and Round is
Round and Round's right there.
Okay,
for sure. That's why I was wondering what happened to Tevin
And
Campbell.
I forgot they did Weekend Funk with George Clinton, where Clinton's singing and he's playing the guitar.
And Martha just shared with me one after Prince died. It was a live footage thing of him doing Footprints by Wayne Shorter. Okay, Wayne Shorter, the jazz musician. I'm looking at my dad because he and I are like, yeah, Wayne Shorter. This is amazing. This is like a great jazz cut, and it's Prince's band. It reminds me of Zappa. Zappa's band,
the Mothers of Invent,
it's just astounding, and they're great jazz musicians in that band. Prince did the same thing.
Sure.
So I have a Prince story. I have two.
Okay.
And they're not negative like the one I told. They're both really good. Well, first of all, I can't remember what the one was. I'll tell the second one first. When I was a DJ, wedding DJ, nothing impressive. There was a guy I worked with who was in bands. He had actually played in the Byrds at one point. Okay. And he told me a story. He was friends with the guy that was called, his stage name was The Doctor. Remember when Prince, when he did Purple Rain, there was the guy that played keyboards that wore the doctor's thing with the stethoscope. Like that was his, okay. He was friends with that guy. He told me back then that Prince was so interesting. He said it wasn't crazy. It's not like when you hear these Michael Jackson stories and they're like, the dude's nuts. This was more like the guy was at such a different like creative level. He said when you worked for him, it was 24 hours a day. This was the contract you signed because he didn't sleep normal patterns. He slept when he needed to sleep. That was it. He said he recorded and worked nonstop. And he said you were on call. You had like 40 minutes or 30 minutes to get to his place. 2 a.m, he calls up, I want to record. And he said, that's how it was. And he said, at first you think this is nuts. And then you record with him and you realize this is the most magic, crazy thing ever. Mm-hmm. And he said it wasn't like you'd get there and he was frantic. It was just like, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I want you to do. Boom. And he also said that Prince would show you on the instrument, whatever instrument, and play it better than you could.
Oh, well,
I know the other story. I'll play it in a second.
So we were kind of talking about that a little bit before, and I was talking with a guy who owns a record store across the street about Prince, and not the rumor, but people would always describe him as he was like the best at whatever he was doing, and like he could be the guy that was like, if he dropped his microphone and just sang, he would be James Brown or as good or better. He would be as good dancing as. What do you mean? You watch him dance.
Yeah.
He would pick up the guitar and be as good as.
He's not
Jimmy
jive
had this,
at all of it either. Like
no.
Some guys are jive. This guy he's the real deal
right.
in every way.
And not being a jerk about it, just be like, that's how good I am. And we were talking about thinking of examples. I would think Michael Jackson would be in that level where he was as good as whatever he was doing.
Yes.
He was as good or better. So if he hired you to produce, he was already a step ahead of you, but he'd be like, that would be cool.
The difference there is I don't know how much he wrote, whereas Prince
Prince was everything.
I always thought, and it obviously will never happen. I always wanted to see, here when you talk about it at the time, it was Prince and Michael Jackson were the two biggest at that time.
Oh, sure.
I always wanted to see Michael Jackson to have an album produced by Prince, written and produced by Prince. Prince doesn't even have to sing on it. Produce it, because he'd play instruments when he does that, but him producing it with his sound and his musicality, put Michael Jackson's voice on top of it, I think it would have been the greatest Michael Jackson album ever.
It might have been, but I don't know if it would work because Michael Jackson would change the music to fit what he was singing.
But if he could let go of that and let Prince, and he was a huge Prince fan, if Prince could do that, that would have been amazing.
But I don't think it would be Michael Jackson then, because Michael Jackson put his stamp on it, even though it was someone else's music and maybe someone else's lyrics. He changed it to fit. I mean, you look at Thriller, the original version of Thriller isn't very good, and then he put in all of the stuff, and it's just like.
But I'd like to see. I wish I could.
It would be a great collaboration. Oh yeah, I think.
All right, I thought this was interesting. So Morris Day.
Yeah.
They were in a high school band together.
Shut up!
Get out of here.
It was.
What about Jerome? Was he in it?
No, it was Morris Day, Prince, and Andre Simone.
Who's Andre Simone?
I don't know, but I just thought that was awesome.
Poor guy into the bus.
Okay, so the other thing was
he's Curly Joe.
We forgot about Carmen Electra?
Oh yeah, he dated Carmen Electra.
Did he?
Well, she was a backup dancer on tours during the early 90s, and then Prince is the one who created her stage name.
Oh.
And he produced her self-titled album in 1993. I thought that was interesting.
Well, I believe I heard something about it. I believe her given name is Hannah or something like that.
It is.
But he wrote the
And
song
he named
Hannah
her
on top, or Carmen on top,
Yeah.
and that's how she became Carmen Electra.
And then Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle. These are people that he were proteges.
He produced for probably.
Yeah, well, he had several songs written and produced by Prince. Patti LaBelle did, and then let's see what were some of the other ones. Mavis Staples. He did that whole thing. The Time, Vanity.
What he did. He wrote songs for other people. Like Nothing Compares to You as a Prince song, and Sinead O'Connor covered it, and it's fantastic.
It's interesting to me because he is one of, you don't hear about male musicians like this focusing. Now it may be he did it for other reasons, but he really focused on developing female singers. Like he really did.
Well,
like he's got an
respects,
astounding.
Yeah, but in some respects, you might be right. Like Vanity 6, but that also could have been because he knew I can create a super group of attractive women and do this. But like Mavis Staples and Sinead O'Connor, it was about what he could do with them as instruments.
Well, and Wendy and Lisa, they were guitarist and keyboardist for him, but he composed a lot of material with them.
Right. Sure.
And, but you just, that's really progressive, for that time.
Well, especially for a guy like this in that world. I mean, that was a world where it wasn't as acceptable. There weren't as many women rock musicians, especially in that field.
And minorities.
Right. And he was putting them in as drummers and guitar players. And
that's what I'm saying.
There weren't the girl bands like NSYNC. I mean, even though that was a little bit later, he did that early on.
When he did Vanity 6, that was kind of the prototype.
Sure.
I mean, think about it. How many of those came after that you go, that kind of is where that started.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had a hand in the stuff that became like Belle Biv DeVoe and all that too, because it has the style, the visual style. I wonder whether he had a hand or things were modeled after.
I think somebody,
I would bet
I think they stole that from him and did it because, Quincy Jones and all those other guys that kind of ran with it. Cause I think they changed the sound from the Prince sound to bring up some more, I don't want to say the hip hopics, but that different strain of R&B, because the whole Motown Philly and all of that kind of music, or they went against the Prince with the synth and the electric drum, and I mean, which was a great iconic sound. But I think by the time they got to the early 90s, people went, maybe we need to go another direction after 10 years.
Sure,
which isn't bad. I mean, they were both really good. Can I tell my time story?
Yeah, you tell yours, and then I got a good story.
So I live in Indianapolis. This is late 1990s, early 2000s, and I go to a rib fest. They have a rib fest. It was like literally in a church parking lot or a church school parking lot. And they have this nice rib fest with a big stage and a bunch of rib people. It's Memorial Day weekend.
I like everything you just said.
Right. But it rains.
Can you start carrying ribs?
It rains the whole weekend. And I'm like, man, I really want to go down and get some ribs. I'm not going to go out in the middle of the rain. It stopped. They're like, it's not going to rain for the rest of the day. I go down there to check it out. So I get some ribs, walk around. Somebody's playing. I go, who's playing next? And they go, Morris Day and the Time are playing next in this place. And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. So I get some ribs. I sit down. They start playing. They go, it is their shtick. Second one. They're Do the Bird. Jerome comes out. Morris Day combs the hair. They're doing the dance. All stuff. It was amazing. I'm like up there going, and then, I look around and I'm one of the only white people that's in the car, which is okay.
One marshmallow and the cocoa. That's how I described it.
It was great. Everybody was having a good time, and they were singing. They did, The Bird. They did What Time Is It? They did, I got about 5 or 6 songs in. I'm like, okay, that's great. I was done with my ribs, but it was fantastic. And they had the suits. They had the band. Jerome was doing the thing. It was great.
And they put out that album Pandemonium after.
Sure.
That was a great album. They were a great funk band.
All right, I have another one. Just a quick, because you talked about the doctor.
Yeah.
His name is Dr. Fink.
And not Dr. Detroit?
He was keyboardist for the Revolution and beyond from 1979 to 1990. Wow. But this is the part that I really love about Prince. So Dr. Fink is credited as co-writer on several Prince tracks.
Okay.
Prince didn't appear to have the ego in the game. He would write with people. He would collaborate.
He had the business savvy of getting writing credits and that and giving the right due, but he didn't have the ego where he allowed other people to make.
That's what I'm saying.
They
worked together. He didn't. Sometimes people in that position are so territorial, and it's like, it's got to be all about me. It's got to be all about me, and I kind of want. Yeah, and the fact that he does not. I mean, one after the other is, him working with people, and Sheila E. They put on here now. This was, I'm not sure. Apparently, this is not now, but it said she had 3 albums produced by him in the 80s. She later joined his band as a drummer. I mean, a woman drum, it's just so unheard of. It's still hard for women to get treated with any type of respect and placed into a male led band. You know, it just does. How
Right.
often do you see it? Not too often. And but it says the two still work together.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So not now. I mean, that's why I was
Right,
saying
right,
technically
obviously.
not
Okay.
now, but all the way up through, like they would occasionally still.
Well, I remember hearing something
collaborate.
about her a couple years ago. She was like playing with like a big like jazz salsa band or something, and people were saying she's just like incredible live, like not just like a gimmick. Like they're like, no, she is the real deal. But he created her to be like, she'd go up and she'd play her thing, and like people, oh, and she was beautiful and all this.
Right.
But he really hired her because she was an extremely talented musician,
Right.
which is awesome.
I never thought that she wasn't the real deal. I think they just used the shtick of what
They
they
used
did.
the shtick,
Yeah.
but for a record company, it's shtick.
Right.
For him, it was about the musicianship. He didn't hire for shtick.
Right.
He just created it because he knew this is performance. He knew that.
Well,
So I got to tell my story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love this story. So when we got married, okay, what year were we married? 93?
92. I don't like
92.
odd numbers.
84. What? No.
Yeah. When we were married,
Yeah.
a friend of ours,
Last week.
they were up here from Miami. He was in a band. And while they were up here, they had to go back because of Hurricane Katrina. Okay. But before, that gives you a time frame. Before they went back, he was telling me that his band was playing. He was in a band, like a funk band that did covers. And they had two really great stories. This one. So while he was there, he said, the guys in the band said, you're never going to believe this. They were playing some little place there, you know, because Miami is full of these like outdoor clubs.
But he worked mostly in South Beach.
South Beach,
Yeah.
yeah. They're playing this one, and they said, a lot of times, a lot of musicians would come up like, hey, man, can I sit in for a set? Can I do it? And said, this guy comes up, says, hey, would you mind if I played guitar? You know, and they're like, oh, sure. Do you know? And he's like, you know what, I can play whatever. I just would really like to kind of hang with you guys and play a couple songs. Sure. So they gave him a guitar, had him sit in the back, and they were like, you know, we don't know if this guy's going to suck or what, but, you know, we're whatever. Sure. They put him back. They said he had a hat on, you know, like, said he sits down, and they said, they're playing their funk, you know, whatever. And he goes, this guy is just ripping this guitar to shreds. But he's just sitting there like this. And like, they're just like, who is this guy? Plays like 3 songs, gets up and he says, that was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much. Walks out, and as he's walking out, one of the guys goes, oh my God, that was Prince.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's cool.
The other one that happened was, as long as I'm telling the story,
it's funny.
Is what's his name?
Sam and Dave.
No, not the Sam and Dave.
Oh, not
story.
the big head. Oh,
no,
that
not the
was
big
my
head
favorite
story.
one.
No, Boogie Shoes. Boogie Shoes.
Casey and
So Casey shows up at one of their shows and came up and was like, you guys are great. Hey, do you know any of my songs? They're like, we do. I'm your boogeyman. Yeah. Would you? And he's like, hey, I'd come up and sing it. They're like, awesome. Here's how we do it. They kind of tell him, he's like, yeah, man, I'll just follow along. We'll do, you know, the chorus, the header, and then the chorus, and the, you know, okay. He gets up and they said, first of all, his voice, I'm your boogeyman. Like he's shot, right?
Oh yeah.
He doesn't know the song. They're like, it's the biggest song you've ever had. He gets up there and he's like, other than the chorus, I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am. He doesn't know the rest of it. So he just kind of stands there, like, looks at the band, and they're going, I guess we just kind of vamp through this part.
All right.
But the Prince one, I always think of that. Like, he didn't say anything. He wasn't being a jerk or anything. Right. He just was like, hey, you guys are good. Can I just sit in? And they had no idea until it was done. And somebody went, ding. Oh, my God. That was Prince.
He was notorious for going to jazz clubs and stuff when he would play.
Yeah.
And because, like you said, he'd never slept. Or when he did, he slept like at weird hours. He would just show up.
Right.
Much like other great acts like Eric Clapton would do the same thing. The Stones would do it. The
Yeah.
Stones would do it. Mick Jagger, those guys would show up. Other people, you know, of that kind of level of.
Well, we know a guy whose dad owns Kingston Mines, the big blues club in Chicago, and he said very often if the Stones are anywhere near Chicago,
they're there.
They'll
just show up and
like he said the one night he was playing, his band was playing, and he said 2 guys walk up, I'm like, hey, can we sit in? And he said he's like, well, yeah. He said he looks up and he's like, it's Mick and Keith.
Yes. No, you can't.
But he said he's playing. And
would you guys play My Generation? Oh, sorry, wrong band.
Exactly.
Hey, man, can we sit in? Can you imagine?
All right. So back to what we were saying before
Yes.
about the women.
Yes.
So I found something. It says Prince had long been a vocal supporter of female artists and always championed them in the press and through his music. And so, you know who we didn't know? Alicia Keys.
Oh,
wow.
really? Oh, she's outstanding. Well, not that any of these aren't.
So
I mean, they're all outstanding.
they started working together in 2001
Wow.
on her debut album.
Yeah, he had quite the ear for,
because she covered
talent.
one of his songs, and then and he sort of mentored her in the beginning of her career. Wendy and Lisa, we already talked about.
Sure.
Sheila E., Sheena Easton, Apollonia.
She's the one in Purple Rain.
Yes, Tamar, Vanity, Carmen Electra, Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearl. Wait. Diamond and Pearls was an album. Was there a
Diamond and Pearl, aka Lori Wenner. Sorry, Lori, and Robia Lamorte.
Because Diamond and Pearls is an incredible Prince album.
Well, they were
that had the
Prince's-
song Thunder, which is one of my favorites.
Well, here, wait a second.
it's a rockin' good song.
He must have nicknamed them that
Okay.
because they were his backup dancers during Diamonds and Pearls era.
Okay.
But they're Lori Wenner and Robia Lamorte or something. And then Judith Hill and Third Eye Girl.
Yeah, I don't know some of
That's
these.
his
Third Eye
most
one.
recent band, Third Eye Girl. Made their debut on Prince's Plectrum Electrum in 2014.
Yeah, see,
We're not up on that one.
Well, and that's the other thing. As the music industry has changed, a lot of this stuff you're not as aware of. It used to be that you lived and died by what was on the radio. You knew
Right.
who these people were.
No.
Now in this era, there's 8 million bands, and a lot of them you just don't really.
Well, because
Well,
it's all
and-
online, so it's
in
all
this
iTunes.
band, though, he had the drummer was Hannah Welton, the guitarist was Donna Gradis, and the bassist was Ida Christine Nielsen. So I mean, it was him and then
Females.
these three
I love it.
women, and Janelle Monáe, probably butchering all, and then Maydee, his wife, his ex-wife,
Right.
Taja Savell, Bria
Mhm.
Valente.
Yeah, he did that.
And so it's just so interesting.
It's
to
amazing
me.
the footprint he has
Oh,
left.
sure. Well, just like many successful artists, when you have a huge album, the next thing you do is you go and produce, because maybe your style lasts a couple of years, and then you go on and do things like, I'm going to relate it to the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees did Saturday Night Fever, and then everybody hated disco, but for the next 5 years, they literally produced all of that,
Like all
late
that stuff.
70s, early 80s music,
Mhm.
and put their kind of stamp on it, but didn't make
Right.
an album, because everybody's like, oh no, the Bee Gees, but they produced everything, just like who are the guys that did Michael Jackson stuff, DJ Jam, and I can't think of what's
Oh yeah.
those
DJ
guys.
Jazzy Jeff.
No, it was
And the
it was like-
French,
but
the Fresh
those guys,
Prince.
those guys
French
literally they produced every
Yes.
R&B artist album, and he did the same with all of that stuff. And I think we were talking about earlier, he understood the power of the shtick to get you in,
Yeah.
Yes.
to get it started, and say, hey, you can do this, and then you
Yeah.
can make a little bit of money, then you can do whatever you want after that to get it, like other artists have done, where they do the popcorn movie so they can do the Hamlets, and
Exactly.
they can do the harder stuff.
Get your studio ones out of the way, and then
Well, sure.
you could do your real work.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and it reminds me, him as an artist, as a music artist, reminds me of more of the English artists.
Right.
If you look at the English rock bands, they understand the stage persona
Sure.
and how to work that, whereas without it being not genuine.
Right.
Whereas-
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous. Yeah, I was
Not
stumbling there.
genuine. The opposite of
ungenuine.
genuine.
Yes, disingenuous.
Yes,
Whereas
It's been a long day.
it has.
it really has. Whereas, a lot of American manufactured bands or images in that, you kind of smell it. They are.
Mhm.
Sure.
He understood how to create story out of what was going on there, while at the same time, obviously, the single most important thing was being top-notch player.
Right.
Top-notch. You ever see the movie Sign of the Times? It's a concert film. It was a great
I've
double
heard of it.
album.
I can't
But
remember
the
if I've seen it.
film, whether you're a Prince fan or not, if you're a music fan, if you appreciate quality playing, that movie, it's kind of like when you see Stop Making Sense and you're kind of mesmerized by what's going on. The playing in Sign of the Times, that band, like to a person, you can't believe how talented everybody is.
Was that PNG or was that Revolution that did Sign of the Times?
I think it was Revolution. I think it was still Revolution, but Sheila E.'s in that. And it's just, I just remember the first time I saw it, wishing I had seen it in the theater, but watching it and not being able to turn it off, going, what am I watching? These people are incredible. And of course, Prince on top of it. You can watch that guy do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, really, whether you're a fan of his music, you can't help but be engaged by his performance and by the astounding musicianship. Astounding.
Yeah.
Because, after he passed, they played that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where he does a guitar solo at the end of Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a minute, and you're just like, oh my gosh. I had a friend who is a musician himself. He's like, I'm sick of seeing this. It's like, dude, it's unbelievable. Yeah. It's not like, it's great. It's unbelievable. He's up there in his suit jamming next to Tom Petty and some
George Harrison.
Yeah, George Harrison. Well, it was George Harrison's son.
Yeah, but it's his son. Yeah,
because I think he had passed by then, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but it's like his son's playing. It's just, it's like it's amazing that he's on in a stage of all stars, and like they're not even close to him. So
he really truly is in the level of the greatest ever.
And like he did the Super Bowl thing. That was unbelievable, his halftime show.
Yeah. Whereas most of them look like a stage production. Yeah, I know.
Right.
His it's the real deal. It's a show, but there's actual music going on up there.
Right.
It's Prince, Tom Petty, Steve Winwood, Jeff Lynne, and Donnie Harrison. Or Danny, D-H-A-N-I.
Danny,
Harrison.
that's his son.
Danny Harrison's his son, yes. Yeah, but Jeff Lynne, who's
hello.
He's ELO. It's like, hello. This guy,
Jeff Lynne is another Prince, though.
Yeah.
He didn't achieve the level that Prince did, even though it was ELO.
Not a fan of Steve Winwood, though.
But Jeff Lynne produced everybody.
Right.
And ELO is the band that I've heard a number of times, like John Lennon said, when we stopped, ELO is what we would have become.
Sure.
Like, there it is. You want to know what the Beatles would have done? It was ELO. And you go, really? And then you listen to it and you're like, I hear, he heard the musical evolution within it and the level of production and mentorship and all that stuff.
Well, he just took, great musicians and jammed
Imagine the conversation. Prince and Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty are sitting around a coffee table.
Yeah, no kidding.
Imagine what they said to each other.
That's a lunch I want to go to.
And Danny Harrison going,
well, yeah.
Please don't notice me. Don't kick me out.
I know my dad was George Harrison, but my gosh.
I'll go and I love me some Tom Petty, but he's not in the same league as those other two. I mean, Tom Petty is great. His persona is great. His music is great, but he's not at the level of musicianship that those guys, because, I think without the Heartbreakers, I don't think Tom is, I hate to say that the same, but he is the glue. He's the guy. He's the guy that makes the band happen.
Yes.
Because
if you have to rate him, he's going to be.
Well, you look at Traveling Wilburys and they talk about the whole thing, like where George Harrison just gets. He goes, we need a guy who can write some songs, and we'll get Roy Orbison, and we'll get Bob Dylan and Tom Petty, all people that can write some songs, and he brings them over, and then he goes, we'll start writing songs, and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? And I think George Harrison was very much on that Prince mode. He just was always creating. Right. All he wanted to do was make great music, and so he'd be like, okay, let's make great music. And Tom Petty's like, well, I maybe have to go to sleep. And
sorry, man, but Tom Petty, you're going to have to leave. I had him as a special guest tonight. So Chris threw him under the bus.
No, he's awesome. He's fantastic. But it's like, what are you going to be? I'm not trying to toss him under the bus, but he is that guy. He just had a different niche. He wasn't.
So does anybody else have any Prince stories? We actually had a couple up here. Did anybody?
There was one, but I was just watching some of the specials. I mean, Nightline has specials.
Right.
Right.
Another one that just recently he saw this like
12-year-old
girl with a YouTube video. And he called her up and said, I want to work with you, and produced her.
Holy cow. That is amazing.
I mean, put a link to her.
See, now I'm inclined to do that when I see the farting preacher videos, but that's very different.
He found it. He linked a video, called her up.
Wow.
12-year-old.
Hello, this is Prince.
Did you see the Tyler Perry story? Tyler Perry said he was doing a stage show where they did a couple of Prince songs. Like I don't know if it was a parody or something, but he was driving himself. So this was before he was too big, but he was driving himself to this theater and gets the phone call, and it's Prince. And he says, I hear you're doing my songs. He's like, you need to stop it or I'll sue you. And then he goes, and by the way, I need 10 tickets because I'm coming to see it tonight. So he shows up and he meets with Tyler, and he goes, Tyler said he was kind of kidding, but kind of not, kind of serious that he might sue me. But he showed up and he said, we sat and talked for a bit, and then I had to get in there and do the show. But he sat up front, and when it came to that point in the show, he kind of looked at Prince, and Prince is like, and they got him a mic, and Prince did it, and the crowd, he's like 3,500 people went completely insane. He's like, and just reading the story was so cool. But he went on to mentor him, and they became friends. And he said, when I saw, whether we were at the White House or whether we were sitting in his basement, he just was everything. Like, he just commanded everybody's attention. He was just this amazing person. And so when I hear stories like that, it's just,
Well, and there seems to be a consistent thread, which is, we talk about, I might get a little serious here. We talk about leadership.
You get weepy? No, I'm sorry.
We talk about, I do actually, but we talk about leadership. We talk about, like on New Media Lab, we talk about not just about creating, but about that role of creator and working with others and
collaborator
and collaborating. Yeah. And as I'm hearing all this, it's really, really strengthening that idea in my head of being the mentor, always looking to be the mentor and give back. Yeah, you're creating. Yes, he's doing this. But like when you mentioned how he's helped all these women, it's kind of like with our network where we said we want to make sure women have a voice here, because a lot of podcasting doesn't have women unless it's just a women-centric show. We're like, women are geeks. What are we doing? We don't seek it out.
We did
at
first,
but now we don't seek it out.
We were balanced.
We're just all about fostering it.
But then,
and when I hear this
now
about Prince, I'm like,
organically.
you know what? I have a feeling that he saw it the way we see it, which is, I don't understand why not. Why can't I have a female drummer if she's got the talent?
Sure,
she's it. We look for people that are passionate, that have the talent. That's it. Doesn't matter what you are in any way.
Well, and we also look for people,
even cafe owners,
who have. Everybody has something they want to do. Everybody has something that they've, and most things are too scary or daunting or difficult to do on your own. And so they kind of just sit. And then people think, someday I'd love to do that. And so we try to get people to see, if we work together, you can do it now.
Right.
And so we really tend to do that.
That tends to true greatness, where you hear these stories of these great people who collaborate. And I'm going to bring up George Harrison as another example, where
George Harrison's a great example.
He just shows up. It's like, hey, let's make some music. And they're like, oh, let's try this. And he'll like go buy the ukuleles because you want to learn how to play ukulele, or he'll back your film.
Jack White's the same way.
Yeah, Paul McCartney, right.
Michael Stipe.
Right.
Tony Bennett. He works with everybody.
Yeah.
Barry Manilow is actually one of the best examples of that.
And the guy who just started doing everything, it's like, I'll just do it because it's creative, and then you get the success off of it, and then that enables you to create more.
It just, it's really inspiring when you hear this about Prince. I mean, it's what you thought, but the more you uncover, the more you realize like what this guy really represented, what he really was.
And it's a huge loss.
It is a huge loss.
Absolutely.
So is that it? Did we do this? I want to do one more thing.
Okay.
I have one thing
you got one?
Well, I want to just say, to interject, it's like I always look at the music that people produce or what they produce and how it moves me. Yeah. And I would say that I think he has 2 or 3 songs that move me.
I wanted to do.
I would say,
what are the songs?
Doves Cry, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm getting chills in my
Yeah.
own
Me too.
how-
Purple Rain
right.
and When Doves Cry.
Yeah,
for
those
me.
two songs off that album.
When
are-
he's doing that in Purple Rain and he's like, I'm like, I like gone every time, you know.
I always think he's
I know,
channeling
times
like
are
the
changing
James
when he
Brown,
does
and
that.
I
just-
which
but-
is just him doing his thing, but it's like that powerful.
But it
So.
shows
But
how
it's-
powerful that album
Yes.
is.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I would put Thunder in there
Mhm.
from Diamonds and Pearls, because even though like the words didn't mean a lot to me, I hear the music before I hear the words a lot. And
I'm
that
the
one,
opposite.
that one just like,
I always hear the words.
that is the song. I hear that and I'm like, whoo, man. I think Kiss deserves to be in there.
Mhm.
What a unique take. And to have it be just that guitar and his voice, and his voice is a percussion instrument in that song.
Sure.
That was daring stuff. And then
Because I think he covered the board on a lot of his songs. Like I think he knew, I didn't say what button to push, but what he wanted to get out of it. Because like you listen to Raspberry Beret, the whimsy of that
you know
song.
what? I want to bring that one up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the
Yes.
whimsy, and it's just like this is like a dude just hanging out.
And
He's
you
kind of like
see
a hippie.
it.
Yeah,
You see, he
It's like
creates
a Tom
such a
Petty
picture,
song.
right. It is.
and
Yep.
you
know?
just see the whole day unfold.
I
you know?
think that
Right.
actually
It's
might
like-
be even higher for me now that you said that one. And you know what? There is, if you haven't heard it, speaking to Michael Stipe and that, he's not in this, but REM, the rest of REM there is an album called Hindu Love Gods.
Mhm.
It is the three guys from REM without Michael Stipe, and Warren Zevon is singing, and they cover Raspberry Beret.
Wow.
And it is amazing.
Sure.
Like, you'll hear it and go, I need this on my iPod, and I need to hear it every day until
Mhm.
I'm sick of it, which might be never.
Right.
You know, it's that good. So,
Anybody else have a favorite song or a story? No?
Yeah.
Little Red Corvette.
Little Red
Did you
Corvette.
guys see the tribute that Chevy did? They put out a tribute to Prince after his death, and it's the back end of a red Corvette driving away.
Wow.
That's
cool.
awesome.
And it was just like you saw it, and you're like, "That is amazing." It was on
Yeah.
social media. It wasn't like a big splash. They just kind of put this
Kind of
out there,
threw it out
like
there and said-
you'll be missed. Talk about, I mean, think of the tributes every place.
Mhm.
Well, sure.
Niagara
Oh,
Falls.
the
they turned
cities
it
are all purple. Yeah.
Everything went purple
All
for
over
this
the world,
guy.
all
Well-
around the world.
And we kind of chatted about that, where the testament that movie houses and things can go to almost immediately being able to put his movie out so people can share and celebrate and,
Right.
and show their passion for
And-
what he did.
And
Because
look at who's died this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bowie didn't get that kind
No.
of treatment. You know,
He got
It's
other
like-
treatment, but they didn't show
but-
Labyrinth
But
immediately.
look at how many.
Man fell to earth. They should have, though.
Gary
They should have.
Shandling didn't get that
Shandling,
kind of
no.
treatment.
Well,
He
Um,
did in our house.
He did in
Yes.
our house because we love him,
well, and
and he
was
was
in
in
Jungle
Jungle Book
Book.
today.
a testament to how great
And
he
I
is.
almost cried because I missed.
You brought up Kiss, which was a great song and a great performance, and then you have other artists perform it. Tom Jones does
Tom
Kiss.
Jones doing
It's
kids.
just like it's such a killer. You're like, oh my gosh.
It's a killer is the way to describe it. It really
I
is.
mean, his version is on par with Prince's version, and they're both great. So.
Well, and his music, really technically, he's one of these guys that so many tribute albums could be put out.
right.
Like there are certain bands that like the Beatles, there have been so many people that have covered the Beatles songs,
Mhm.
and there have been albums of just various artists covering Beatles songs, and each take is different. Each take, you're like, wow, what a song.
right.
Prince is one of those guys. You could have a whole album of people covering Kiss in different ways, and everyone would be amazing.
Oh, sure.
You
Absolutely.
know, Raspberry Beret, same thing. Purple Rain. I mean, come on.
Mhm.
I would love to hear.
Mhm.
I would love to hear more and more versions of those songs. I'm sure that he didn't want people doing it because of rights, but
Oh, sure.
at the same time, that would be. It shows the power of this guy's work.
Yes.
Right. Well, and just to bring up another story, we're talking about. I was talking with you, Weird Al, who does all these parody songs. Never did Prince because he always asked permission to parody a song, and number one, Prince never gave him permission, so he respected that and didn't do it. But he, Weird Al did that, and he wouldn't do it, and he was a huge fan of Weird Al's work. He even said that, goes, I think you're really talented, but I don't want you to do my song.
Yeah.
And he never did it. I think it would be great if he would have done one of those songs that he did that. There was only two people, and I can't remember who the other one was from reading it, but Weird Al never did his songs because they never let him.
Never let him. Yeah.
Was it Led Zeppelin? Yeah.
Zeppelin.
I mean, it was just kind of. I mean, that's kind of. I think that's great that number one that Weird Al would have that
That had that respect
respect
for
for
Yeah,
people, not just say,
absolutely.
"Hey, I'm going to make fun of your song," but the Prince. But he actually enjoyed his work.
Yeah.
And then the Dave Chappelle
The
thing
Dave Chappelle
that he did.
Prince stuff was
where Prince-
amazing.
Prince actually thought it was funny, but I don't think he appreciated the wholeness of it. But I think it kind of captured the Prince-ness of
Yes.
his kind of like eccentric behavior. But like,
Did you ever see that, Martha?
No, and
It's amazing.
the other one that I have bookmarked, but I haven't been able to watch it yet, is Prince on the Muppet Show.
Oh wow!
And it keeps floating around on
Ooh, I don't know
Facebook.
if
So I
I've seen
saved.
that.
Well, I
No, me
saved
neither.
the link on Facebook so that I will show you, but I wanted to see it because I always loved the Muppet Show and watched it,
Yes,
but I don't
sure.
remember Prince being on there. But they have the clip of him,
That's awesome.
and it's supposed to be really good. So that would be another one to look for, is the clip of him on
There's
Muppet
someone,
Show.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
pick up
And
all
you
that
don't
stuff.
picture somebody like him being on a
Are you
Muppet
crying?
Show.
Well, I mean,
Actually, I do. For him,
Yeah,
I
I don't
do.
know.
Come on, because they got didn't Bowie do a Muppet Show? I mean, there's all sorts of these iconic performers that they probably said, "Hey, we're the ultimate kids show. Could you come on?" And people
And
say
I
yes.
see him doing that. I see him being on Sesame Street. I see him
Well,
doing.
so I could see Sesame Street. I don't know, a little bit more. I don't know why Muppet Show. It doesn't strike me as him.
I see
but
it.
Yeah,
Have the two
Sesame
guys,
Street
the old
for
men
sure.
in the balcony yelling at him, "Hey, Prince,
Yeah.
sit down!" Or something.
Yeah. And he was standing. Yeah,
Yes,
never
I
mind.
know.
He was
Not
already
even like
I was
Okay.
the opposite. Reverse
too
that.
soon. So
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh no, I meant because he's short.
that's what I meant.
Right.
Oh, I thought all of a
She'll
sudden you
get her
just
own
said
joke
too
in 30
soon,
seconds.
and then I'm like,
All
"What?
right.
I didn't mean he was.
That is it. Thank you guys. And Prince will be missed.
Yes.
This was kind of a bummer, but I'm glad we talked it out a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We'll be back next Saturday. Thank you, Blue Box. Have a great night.
Thank you.